Today will be a day to remember for the rest of your life. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is excited to present the Heart of a Hall of Famer program connected by Extreme Networks. With over 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 47 states and countries all over the world, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans important life values like commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty.
But you have to make right decisions even when nobody's watching you.
Well, respect is not just given out. It's not handed out like a brochure. It's earned.
Today, you are presented with an opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more important than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. They didn't roll out the bed great. They put the work in, on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom, in their communities. They made themselves a Hall of Famer on and off the field.
Your feet can't take you where your mind's never been.
Because you can make it, but it's just gonna take a little hard work and some effort and the drive and determination.
And today, you will learn you can do the same thing they did. You don't have to have a gold jacket or a bronze bust to make a difference in the lives of others. It's your decision whether you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
If attitudes are contagious, is your attitude worth catching?
It's integrity as well, because when you decide to pursue something and you don't quit, that says a lot about you.
Commitment to excellence. We can all aspire to be the best.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the Heart of a Hall of Famer program, connected by Extreme Networks.
I stand here today at the doorstep of one of the most exclusive clubs ever. But before entering, I am forced to reflect on the road which has led me here. It is a road that was paved with sacrifice of trailblazers who suffered the shame and humiliation of a less tolerable society than the one in which I confronted. It is a road traveled not alone, but with the love and support of many. It is now with a great deal of humility and with the full appreciation of what the game has given to me, I am pleased to take my place among the greats of the National Football League. To God be the glory.
And with that, welcome to the historic Fordson High School in Dearborn, Michigan for our latest installment of the Heart of Hall of Famer program connected by Extreme Networks. And today, our guest is going to be Mr. Kellen Winslow. My name is Jack Prusser. I'm the Youth Education and Leadership Coordinator at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where it is our mission to honor the greatest of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and celebrate excellence together. Focusing on the values of commitment, courage, honesty, integrity, and respect, which help build Hall of Fame character and help make Kellen Winslow a great man. With these values, I do have to start with a few thank yous, though, before we dive into them. I would like to thank you to our partners, Extreme Networks, for allowing us to travel across the country, go to various schools, and do this great program. I need to thank the staff at Fordson High School for allowing us to come in here and speak to your students today, and those schools turning into remotely, as well as thanking Mr. Winslow for being here. And one final thank you to our students today in the audience and those remotely. Without you guys, this program isn't possible. So start thinking some questions you guys would like to ask Mr. Winslow today, because what a great opportunity to get to hear from one of the greatest to ever do it. With that, we'll introduce Mr. Kellen Winslow. Let's give him a round of applause here. All right, Kellen, I'll do a lot of talking today, so I'm going to turn it over to you to start. What is something that you'd like to kick off this program by saying?
Aren't you guys supposed to be in class? No? Okay. If you don't laugh at the first joke, we're not going anywhere today. We're going to be here a while. The beauty of sports is that it provides opportunity. That's all it's really about. If you're good enough to go from one level to the next, you can achieve a lot of things and use sports as a vehicle, just like you can in the military. You can join an organization and you can find your way. The greatest thing and the thing I miss most about not playing football today is I miss my teammates. At the time, we were young, we were full of ourselves, and sometimes we really didn't appreciate what we had. But as we've gotten older, we began to understand what it really meant to be a member of a team. And I'm glad to be a member of this team, the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Well, we're glad to have you a part of that team, Kellen. With that, I'm going to start off. You mentioned being a part of the Hall of Fame team, and we showed your enshrinement speech. One thing I want to ask you, though, obviously being enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame is a huge honor. For students listening, there are only 382 Pro Football Hall of Famers over the millions that have played the game of football. What other, obviously that's a big accomplishment. What would you consider another huge accomplishment in your life other than being enshrined?
Ooh. Of course, my family, and everything that comes with that, the good and the bad, makes you very thankful for having that family. On a personal level, the fact that I was able to use football to finish my undergraduate degree and then leverage football to go to law school and graduate from there, and then to use football to do broadcasting, to speak to thousands of people at a time at graduations, to be able to impact young people. And when I was working in higher education, the greatest thing about that was the students.
Yeah. Students, this is a great message. I know we have some student athletes in here. Whether it could be football, it could be another sport, but cherish those moments, right, with your teammates. Because like you mentioned, Kellen, talked a lot about your teammates before we started the broadcast, but just the camaraderie, the closeness that sports can bring, students together. That's another tie-in question I wanted to ask you, though. Student athletes, right? Balancing time, right? I know some students in here might have jobs, right? They have practice after school. How did you have a balance between, academics, sports, and other life duties?
Wow. My road was totally different than most people's to get to the NFL. My sophomore and junior year in high school, I worked after school at United Parcel Service. I would ride my bike from the Illinois side of the river sometimes, or take the bus to the Missouri side of the river. That's the Mississippi River. And I would go to work, and I would work from 6 till 10 that night. And then my parents, because I didn't have a driver's license, would come and pick me up and take me home, and we start the day over that way. I didn't play football until I was a senior in high school. Before playing football as a senior in high school, I was on the chess team at the East St. Louis Senior High School. So it was just a different path. But along the way, you realize that you're only as good as the people around you. You've got to surround yourself with good people who want to do something, not people who just want to hang out, who just want to find distractions, who just want to expose you to things that might not be good for you. You've got to find people who care about you and who want to do something in their life. And for those in high school, those in junior high school, if you're not listening to your teachers and your counselors and your principals, you are wasting your time. Sit down and listen to them. I started to play football as a senior in high school, not because I decided to go out for football. It was because my high school coach and the other high school coach, who were both gym teachers at my school, came to my geometry class before my junior year was over, the last week of school, and they told me I belonged on the football field and I should come off of football my senior year. If I had not taken their advice, if I had not listened to them and gave it a try, there will be someone else sitting on the stage today talking to you. You are surrounded by people who love you, who care for you, who go out of the way for you. Please listen to the adults in your life. You were just bombarded with a lot of information. Social media, friends who aren't doing anything but think they know everything. While you're sitting there in a room every day with individuals who have life experiences who could help you achieve what you want to achieve. I encourage you, I beg of you, take advantage of that experience that they have and listen to them.
What a great message. I heard unique path, right? Starting, you didn't play football to your senior year. And for example, I'm sure you felt when the coach came in and talked to you that that's a new experience, right? It could be scary trying something new,
It's
and
very scary.
right. You won't know until you try and take that effort. So I think that's a great message for students, right? You never know what you're capable of. I'm sure when you were sitting in their shoes, you never thought, hey, I'd be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day. So everybody's got that unique path. So finding something that you guys are passionate about and continuing on with that, and you guys, you never know where you'll end up. With that, I'm going to open it to you guys, the students at Fordson High School here. If you have a question, please raise your hand and I'll call on you and stand up, say your name and state your question. Have any volunteers? All right, we'll go in the white sweatshirt in the middle there. I'll have you stand up and say, you have to speak a little loud here. So I'll repeat that so those who can hear it on the broadcast. He said, what does accountability mean to you, Kellen?
In terms of football, and we can use it as an analogy for life, it's doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. Bill Belichick always says that do your job. If you do your job working with this team and everyone else does their job, then the job gets done. But if you decide to take a play off, if you decide that you're a little tired, if you decide that, well, I'm not getting the ball in this play, so it doesn't matter what I do, you're wrong. It does. And especially at the highest levels of this game of football or the game of basketball, whatever, if you're not where you're supposed to be, and this is a metaphor for life, if you're not where you're supposed to be, not only are you in trouble, but the people around you are in trouble. We had a play that our offense required for you to be at a certain place at a certain time. And if you took a different route than you were supposed to take, you endangered other people. I had a teammate, I won't mention his name, who was supposed to take he was a wide receiver in a game, was supposed to take an outside release and turn the cornerback back to the field. They wanted him to run the cornerback off. For whatever reason, he gets pushed to the inside and decides, well, I'll just go to the inside. But what happens? That cornerback is now looking inside, not outside. And as another teammate comes across the field and the ball is thrown, that teammate gets hurt. I went over and checked on my teammate to make sure that his helmet, first of all, we put the helmet back together, and that he was okay. And then I went over to my teammate and I read him the riot act. He had one job and he didn't do it. He was not accountable. And because of that, someone else valuable to this team got hurt. Accountability is being where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing at the time you're supposed to be doing it. Going to class, doing your homework, showing up for practice on time. It's the same thing.
Absolutely right. And I think accountability ties into mistakes, right? We all make mistakes in life, but it's owning up to those mistakes is where the lesson can be learned.
It can be learned right there that you can believe me, that receiver never came inside again. His release, when it had to be outside, was always outside.
All right. I have another question myself here, and it ties in, you mentioned on that play specifically, but when you got to the National Football League and what the coin phrase is, what was your welcome to the NFL moment?
I can't tell you that here. Okay. A player from another team took advantage of me being a rookie and used this player's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame also. And I came off the line of scrimmage to block him, and he took his hand and came up underneath me and hit me in a personal area. And I went down on one knee, and then of course he made the tackle. That was my welcome to the NFL moment.
Definitely,
You guys get the picture, don't you? Okay, good.
Definitely not a fun moment.
It wasn't a fun moment, but what it did was it made me a better player on the next play. And it made me more aware of just how violent, how physical the game is at that level where everybody can run, everybody is fast, everybody's quick, everybody's strong, everybody's big.
Right. Okay. I got a bunch more questions here, but I want to extend the opportunity back to the Fordson students today. So we'll grab another student here. I saw his hand shoot up first. Say your name and state your question.
My name is there, and question is, how do you feel leadership roles on the football field and the real world and for the business world are similar?
I'll repeat that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So he mentioned leadership roles, specifically on the football field, and how does it tie into the business field and I guess real life in general, taking those leadership skills you learned from the game and applying those to life?
The old saying, leaders are made, not born, is so true. Leaders have to continue to study. They have to continue to work longer hours than those who are not the leaders. And they have to accept the responsibility of being held accountable at a higher level. I was never the captain on my football team, high school, college, or pros. But I found a way to help out the leaders, the designated leaders, and those what we call the impromptu leaders, those who will rise to the occasion. And my working career, especially my time at Disney, I really learned a lot about leadership because Disney's really big on leadership. And to take those things and to apply them to other phases in your life. Who's the captain of your football team? Okay. So one of your captains spoke up today, didn't they? They've already stood up and asked a question. That's what leaders do. They set the pace.
It's a great message. Leadership's very important, right? The whole don't be a follower, be a leader is definitely what we could take into account, especially, students. It could be a little scary setting and around your teammates taking the initiative, but that's what, help makes great leaders. I'm going to dive into one thing we do like to do in this program, though, is go show you a little taste of Canton and what the Pro Football Hall of Fame offers. So I'm going to send it here to our teammate Jake Ray, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame gallery showing these students here what the Pro Football Hall of Fame is like. So with that, Jake, I'm going to send it your way.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack. You guys here see me okay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. Well, like Jack said, my name is Jake Ray. I work here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Happy to be a part of the program today, and I'm coming to you guys live from one of the most famous places here in the Pro Football Hall of Fame Museum, and that's our Hall of Fame gallery. As you can see, I'm surrounded by these bronze busts, one specifically that your special guest sitting there in front of you guys today, whether you're at Fordson High School or one of our remote connections. We've got Mr. Kellen Winslow's bronze bust right here behind me as well. And Kellen, obviously you know the story, but I want everybody tuned in today to kind of know what it means to have one of these. Out of anybody that's played the game of football, there's been over 300 million people to step on the football field, from Pee Wee all the way up to the NFL. There's been about 5 million people who have played the game in college, and just about 30,000 have been paid to either play, coach, or administer the game of professional football. And only 382 are Hall of Famers. So the tip of the top are the only people who make it here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Kellen, I want to talk to you. Jack asked you earlier about, what are you most proud of besides being a Hall of Famer? But I want to throw it back to this. And, when you hear stats like that and think about your career and people you played with and those who came before and after you, what's it mean to have a bronze bust here in Canton, Ohio?
So Kellen, Jake, I don't know if you quite caught it.
Yeah.
Sound here's a little
little
off
muffled
put.
there.
Yeah. But he said, what does it mean to you to have, Brad mentioned 382 Pro Football Hall of Famers, but there's one Kellen Winslow bronze bust. What does that mean to have your name in the legacy of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and then all those other Hall of Famers?
Of those 382 Hall of Famers, we all get a number. My number is 180. Every year, there's probably at the minimum 4 players who are inducted into the Hall. Sometimes there's a larger class, but at the minimum, there's 4. It's humbling. Am I worthy of such an honor? No. Did I ever expect to get such an honor? No. I was going to work at United Parcel Service and go to college, go to junior college first, and then transfer to a 4-year school and finish my degree and probably go into teaching. My idea was to be a history teacher. Then football came along and I got better at it and I learned that I had a skill and I was very fortunate to do it. But the only reason that you find a bust of Kellen Winslow in the Pro Football Hall of Fame is because of the people he played with, the coaches he was exposed to. My quarterback is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. One of my wide receivers is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My head coach is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My offensive coordinator is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And there's 2 other guys on my team who readily deserve to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You are only as good as the people around you. Again, you are only as good as the people around you. Each and every day, you should look at who you're surrounding yourself with and what are they doing, because that's exactly what you are going to be doing.
Kellen, thanks for that. We appreciate you so much for being a part of the program today. From all of us here in Canton, Ohio, want to thank you so much for everything you've done for the game of football and everything you do for us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's always an honor to get to talk to you and speak with you, even if it's through a cell phone and through a camera. But thank you so much. Jack, we'll throw it back to you.
Thanks, Jake. And like we mentioned, students, those bronze busts are something I hope in your guys' lifetime that you make your way out to Canton one time and get to see them in person, because they're truly special. One thing I'd be remiss if I didn't get to ask Kellen is the tight end position. You know, thinking about when you played, you were really a pioneer for that position. And students, I know we got a younger crowd in here, but at the time, the tight end position was not what you guys watch today, you know, with your Travis Kelce's, with your David Njoku's, Sam Laporta here in Detroit, right? Kellen really paved the way. So I kind of want you to touch on that. How did that kind of work out, you know, through coaching? I know Don Coryell was big on offense, so I'll let you explain it more than me.
Typically, the tight end, when I started playing college football, was known as the third tackle. You used a big guy, they weren't the most athletic, and you would run the football because it was a running game. You might have heard the saying, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's because they had grass. Now we have AstroTurf or field turf. And sometimes you had mud to play in. Have you ever seen a dirty uniform? Yeah, they don't get dirty anymore because it's all turf. It doesn't, you don't get dirty, you don't feel sweaty. They look too clean out there sometimes. But I was lucky enough to be drafted by the San Diego Chargers. The so-called experts said I would be the 3rd player drafted that year in the 1st round. And I ended up being the 13th player drafted instead. And that worked to my advantage because I was with Joe Gibbs and Don Coryell. And with that, Don Coryell took out the fullback and he put me in, so we had 2 tight ends. And the reason that they felt comfortable doing that is because they said I could do all those things. Not physically, yes, but also mentally. Because in my time in the NFL, I played fullback, I played the X, the Y, and the Z position. And sometimes I played the quarterback position. And I don't care what people say. You hear these things about people say, well, football players are dumb. You can't be and play this game. You can't be and play this game. And for those of you out there who are, maybe having trouble studying the game of football and understanding the game of football, I recommend that you play the game of chess. I was a sophomore at the University of Missouri, my 3rd year playing organized football, and I was just running around because they told me to run around. I just did what they told me to do. But I never understood the what and the why about it until I realized that the tight end position is nothing but the knight on the chessboard. I played chess. And when I realized that, the game of football made sense to me. I knew what I did, I knew why I did it, and I knew what everybody else did. And the game slowed down for me.
I mean, it helps, right? When you're able to be that do-it-all position, right? And you, like I said, you really paved the way for what we look at the tight end position.
Don Coryell, 2 tight end system, change the formation. We change the formation on every play, but we barely change the personnel. As a coach, you might, coaches understand how difficult that is. That you have people with talent at positions all over the field, but you can't make your adjustments based on personnel. You have to make your adjustments based on formation, and you don't see the formation until they break the huddle. So sometimes I was in the backfield, sometimes I was out on the flank, sometimes I was in the slot, sometimes I was in the tight end position. Sometimes I lined up as a fullback. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Sounds a lot of fun. And the athletes in this room, right? Take that to heart. Do it all. You never know what you might find out what you're better at, or just be that reliable teammate that your coaches and your teammates around you can rely on. All right, we're going to go to our remote schools now. I'm going to send it out to Yucca Elementary in New Mexico.
Okay.
So students, please come up to the camera and say your name and state your question.
Hello, my name is Victor. My question is, what kept you going when things got hard in the NFL?
What kept you going, playing in the National Football League for all those years, right? It's not back then the hits were a lot harder. The plays were a little bit dirtier. But what kept you, getting up out on the field each day?
You had to meet force with force. And there were some teams that played a little bit more physical than other teams. If you did not play physical that day, you were not going to win and you were going to take a terrible beating. So you had to raise your game to their game. The desire to win, and also we were talking earlier about accountability. I had a job to do for my teammates. If I didn't do my job, they couldn't do their job.
It's a great message. Thank you for asking that question. Let's go ahead and send it to our next remote school here, the UK School English, which is in Greece. So students, same thing, please come up and say your name and ask your question.
Hello, my name is Natalie, and I want to ask you, what are some situations or events that took place in your life that would you say had a significant impact on your character?
I didn't quite catch that, but thank you for asking that question. I'll go ahead and try to repeat that one more time.
What are some situations or events that took place in your life that you would say had a significant impact on your character? So, this is question.
Yep, we got it. I'll go ahead and repeat it here for the students.
Okay.
What situations and experiences in your life kind of really helped shape who, Kellen Winslow is today?
Wow. From a football perspective, January 2nd, 1982, we played the Miami Dolphins in Miami, and it was a playoff game, and we were up 21-0. The Dolphins came back at halftime. It was 24-21. We were leading, and we ended up playing in the longest overtime period. Back when they did a whole quarter in overtime for the playoff games. And in that game, I was truly tested physically, mentally, and spiritually. Physically, the Dolphins were just kicking my butt. I was doing all the motion in the heat on that day. It was very humid in Miami, and I was tested physically. I had injuries during the course of the year because we're talking about the 17th game of the year, 18th game of the year, actually, that we were playing in, and I had a bum shoulder. I would get hit in the arm. My arm would go numb. They busted my lip. I had bruised ribs, and it was hot. I went into that ball game weighing 248. I came out weighing 236. It was just that hot and just that sweaty. I was tested that day. I really was. I was challenged that day. And I rose to the occasion because I had to survive.
That's a great message that these students can apply, right? Obviously, we encourage you that if you're hurt, your health is very important, but that shaped who you are, right? That experience, right? We're going to all face different experiences in life.
I learned a lot about myself that day.
Yeah.
I did. And I applied that. When I went to law school, I kind of applied the same thing. Stick to it. Stick to it. I know the difference between injury, and I know the difference between injury and pain, I should say. I was injured. I had pain. I was not injured. I was cramping. I had soreness, but me on the field made a difference in our offense. And if I'm not on the field, then Miami doesn't have to worry about me. But if I'm on the field, they at least have to put one person on me. And my teammates told me, we need you. All of them came over and said, get your head, you know what they said. Get up. We need you out in the field. And so I got up and got out on the field.
Well, this kind of ties in a little bit to my next question. It's probably not your favorite moment over your career. We have a question from our YouTube chat. Tristan at Brandywine Virtual Academy is tuning in, and he asked, what was your favorite and your best moment over your career?
My favorite and my best moment. Wow.
2 for 1.
2 for 1. Okay. This is going to sound strange. What your teammates think about you is important. They learn to respect you by your performance. We were having a rough season. We started a third string quarterback, and we were playing the Kansas City Chiefs at home. I did not catch a pass in that ball game. I spent most of the day, or all of the day, blocking. I think I might have had 2 balls thrown my direction. Neither one was a completion. But the next day in the film room, before the coach started the film, he stood up and said, I want you to watch our all-pro tight end, Kellen Winslow. Didn't catch a pass yesterday, but he blocked his ass off. And he sat down and he showed the film. That's what you want a coach to say about you. That's what you want your teammates to think about you. That you give all no matter what the situation is. It's not about your stats. It's about doing the job. That was one of my best days in professional football.
Yeah, you look at that, right? You mentioned all-pro Kellen Winslow, arguably, if not the best player on that team at the time, right? And your teammates watching that film, seeing you do that, that has an impact on them, right? You mentioned surrounding yourself with good people. Watching you go out there and do that, I'm sure that kind of fired up some guys that, hey, man, it doesn't matter if I'm only getting 1 catch, if I'm only making 1 tackle, any impact is helpful to the team.
But for the coach to stop before the reel started, the film started, and to point that out, it just lifted me.
Absolutely. I could see it, right? All right. Next question here. We're going to tune it back to the students at Fordson High School. So same thing. Please raise your hand. Oh, he's got one right there. Stand up and say your name and question. Yeah. So for those students listening remote, how did your career or your football career path, from high school to college and then to the pros, how did that look like for you?
It was shaky. It was very shaky. It was shaky, football wise and academically. When, high school was high school. I just I'm not a dumb guy. I'm just, went through and did what I was supposed to do. And I got decent grades in high school, a B+ student. When I got to college, it was faster. It was more challenging. You had to read so much information and comprehend it and then be able to give it back in a short period of time in college. Being away from home was difficult, even though it was only 120 miles away from my hometown to the University of Missouri's campus in Columbia, Missouri. Then the physicality of the game of football when you go from high school to college. In high school, you're going to find 4 or 5 kids on your team who are really, who could be great college football players. But when you get to a Division I school like the University of Missouri and the conference that we were in, playing schools like Oklahoma and Nebraska, it got real physical real fast. And I didn't have the physical development that most kids had coming into college because I only played 1 year of high school football, which meant I lifted weight for 3 weeks, I guess, before we went to camp. So I had to adjust to each and every one of those. And luckily, again, I had great people around me at the University of Missouri who cared about me, who thought enough about me to challenge me physically, mentally, spiritually, and academically, because they saw something in me I did not see in myself. I was labeled a kid with potential, and Dr. Daniels, who was my African-American English professor, took time with me to help out and to be a good friend to the day he passed away. The head trainer at the University of Missouri took time to make sure that I was doing what I was supposed to do. And his name is Fred Wapple, and Fred was probably 4'11". And Fred threatened to kick my you-know-what if I didn't get it together. He told me I was not going home. He said, there's no way you're going home. There's no way you're leaving here. And I had coaches who encouraged me and gave me opportunities and really built to my confidence.
Once again, all ties back, right? The people around you, and that you mentioned a lot of physical, mental, and academic hurdles that you face. And I think this is a great message to any students, right? You've been there before. The coaches in this room have been here before, the administrators, right? So listen to them. When they tell you something, they're not doing it just to get on you. They're doing it because they care about you. All right, we're going to go to our last remote school here, which is going to be Stanford School. So student, please step up, state your name and your question for Mr. Winslow.
There you go. Lyndon Hendrick.
Slow.
My question is, were the helmets good back then?
What was the question?
Yeah,
Were the helmets good back then?
Were the helmets good back then?
Good question.
That is a great question.
That is I like him. No, they were not. I can't tell that. They got better from my college days to my professional days, and especially during the last 4 years of my 9-year career. I really found a helmet that I liked and really fit me well. Not only the helmet and what's the inside of the helmet, but the face mask. I tried different face masks throughout my career and finally found one that I liked, and I wasn't always getting hit in the nose or in the eye or in the lip. It's a tough game. But very good question.
Helmets have definitely changed a lot.
They have.
All right, we're going to start to wrap up the program here. And this is, my favorite last question that we like to do to wrap up the program, right? We talked for about half an hour now, and a lot of great messages, a lot of great stories that these students can take with them. But if you can leave them with one piece of advice, right? You just introduced yourself to them and you got one thing you want to say to them. What is the one piece of advice you'd like to give today?
Oh, wow. You've got a dream. You got a dream. I don't care what your situation is. I grew up in a city that if you drove through the city streets right now, you would wonder how anybody ever came out of that place. It is really, really, really fallen on hard times. But I was a dreamer. I was a dreamer. And I met some people who supported my dream. When I was in the ninth grade, I told my mother, I came downstairs on a Sunday morning. We were about to go to church. My mother always prepared the chicken before we went to church, and we come home and fry it after church. I told my mother that I was going to go to college and she wouldn't have to pay for it. And she just kind of listened to me, and I went on and told the story that I was going to go to college on a football scholarship. And she stopped and looked at me and said, "Shouldn't you play football first?" And I told her I was going to get to it. I had no idea. I told her I was going to go to college on a football scholarship when I was in the ninth grade before I even stepped on the football field. And when I did get a chance to go and play, she remembered that. And she supported that. My father supported that. I was a dreamer. Before I stepped on the campus at the University of Missouri, one of my high school teammates, we were walking over to practice. That's for that summer before I went off to college. And he said, "Are you excited about going to," his name was Reggie Simmons. Reggie said, "Are you excited about going to Missouri?" I said, "Yeah, Reggie, I got it all planned out. As a freshman, I'm going to make the traveling squad. I'm going to start as a sophomore. As a junior, I'm going to be all Big 8. And as a senior, yeah, dream. Share your dreams. Talk about them. Don't be afraid." I told him as a senior, I was going to be a consensus All-American. I played as a freshman, started as a sophomore. I was all Big 8 as a junior. I was consensus All-American as a senior. Dream.
What a great message to end this program with, right? Dream, set goals. And I like how you said, speak it, right? Speak it into existence. You know, you're telling your mom that story that you're going to go on a football scholarship, college for free, and get that higher education. And you made it happen, right? You won't know your dreams and goals until you put them into existence. So, you know, students, you got to work through these things, right? You made some steps in your career, right? You never played football until your senior year. And once you got there, you made your dream a reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you again, students. With that, we're going to wrap this installment of the Heart of a Hall of Famer featuring Kellen Winslow. Kellen, thank you again for being a participant in this program and all that you've done for the Pro Football Hall of Fame and Game of Football students. Let's give Kellen one final round of applause here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you again. With that, we're going to wrap up the program. We'll talk